Hello, viewers. Greetings for joining Jaipur Dialogue USA and Vibhuti Jha here. So, before I start, my usual request to you, please like, subscribe, and support our channel. Give your feedback, and it is important for our interaction because I value your feedback a lot. Today, we are doing something extraordinary, and why I'm saying it is extraordinary is because today I'm starting a a weekly series with Dr. R. Narayanswamy ji. Dr. R. Narayanswamy ji has been with me in a previous conversation talking about the book Vedas for Success. See this book? Vedas for Success. This book Professor Narayanswamy has written, Dr. Narayanswamy has written. It is a very small book. Entire Vedic knowledge brought into, what the beautiful Sanskrit word is saransh. The entire gist of it is here in these 79 pages. That's it, 79 pages. You don't have to read more than that. Why I'm saying this is of two reasons. One is we know that India and our Vedic knowledge and our practices are under systematic and deliberate attack by everybody who doesn't like us. And for that purpose, one of the things that remains wonderfully unaware as we are, is that despite all the Vedic knowledge and wisdom that is enshrined in our texts, even before any established religion was set upon humanity, these Vedic knowledge existed much before that. What happened to it? How did we Sanatanis lose it? How did we not study it? How did we not get to know of it? So to talk about that, I have wonderful pleasure in welcoming Dr. R. Narayanswamy. Dr. Narayanswamy, greetings from Jaipur Dialogue USA and welcome to the show. Now, the question here is very simple, sir. You have been a NASA scientist, you are educated, you have done PhD, you have done significant work with NASA. You floated your own company, you set up your own company, you raised money for them. And, you have done a remarkable work. And you attributed in our previous conversation your success to following the Vedic principles. So before we begin, I wanted to also request you to share with us, with the audience, once again, how did you understand and how did you configure that this was happening with a deliberate intent, or it was happening by virtue of a cosmic rays? Because you learned all of this at the age 11, as you mentioned to me last time. So please tell us more.
Thank you, Vibhuti Jha, for the starting from the beginning. My family, my father had a family Shiva Puja, which has been performed every day by my great grandfather onwards. Successively, it came down to my father, and my father was I hail from Tripunithura, Cochin State, and he was working with the Maharaja's office in 1949 when after the independence, the integration of smaller states, the Triangular Cochin State came. Kochi Maharaja's powers left, so my father was transferred to Trivandrum. So the Shiva Puja has to be continued. I was 11 years old at that time. He had my Upanayanam and gave me a crash course for a month to do the Shiva Puja. So from the 11th age onwards till 17, for the next 6 years, when I was at home, I was doing the Shiva Puja. Then I went to Trivandrum Engineering College, hostel, all this stopped. Then lecturer and all that. For the next 10, 15 years, I didn't do anything. Then after I married and settled down in the United States, I restarted this puja again. While in the college hostel, I was on weekends doing my Sandhyavandanam and all that, but not much Veda, occasional Veda. But I restarted and continued the Veda as I was doing my professional work also, came to United States, got selected to the prestigious National Science Foundation scholarship, and then came back and started my own companies, and everything was going well. And people will always ask me, you are a scientist, and why are you doing all these rituals and this? What does uh, this these are all for the illiterates, and you want to get whatever blessing and then lead a life. You are a scientist, you are well successful, why are you doing this? Then I said, well, I learned this and I find a power that guides me every day. I don't have any problem. All my issues, I struggle hard, but I seem to think the doors get opened. I have saved faith and all that. Then I wanted to understand, what is this power? Is it due to that, or is just a belief only, or it is a real power? Is there some scientific basis? And I was searching for 4 or 5 years. I was teaching this Veda to my friends and Upanishads, and I could not find the answer in any of these, and searching. Then I met again accidentally, so-called existence connect people together, just like I am connected with you, Vibhuti Jha, and you are introducing this to a wider audience. I was connected with a great professor by name Professor Kashyap, who himself was a great intellectual, Harvard PhD, and uh, tenured professor in Purdue for 33 years, produced 50 PhDs and about 250 master's theses. That person suddenly got introduced to Sri Aurobindo, our great yogin, who had explained the Vedas. And he went back based on Arbindo's statements that there is wisdom, there is spiritual and psychological meanings for the Veda mantras that has not been, that was known to the rishis about 5,000 years ago, but over the years that got lost. Sri Aurobindo, by his direct vision, was able to explain all that. And understanding, and Kapali Shastri supported this Aurobindo, who was a Vedic scholar. So based on the writings of Sri Aurobindo and Kapali Shastri, Professor Kashyap translated all the Veda mantras and published in 26 volumes. And I was connected by existence with this Kashyap. And I asked him the question, in the first half hour when he started saying that this Veda has a spiritual and psychological meanings, I was able to, all my, at the root it was explained. Then I was able to read Aurobindo's work, Kapali Shastri's work, Kashyap's work, and I understood the wisdom that has not been explained to the people. So I wrote a book, Understanding the Vedas, and that appeared to be a 300-page book. So everyone said we want a smaller book. So this book that you talked about, Vedas for Success, because by practicing what Vedas teachings, all these success, wherever I was struggling to start a intellectual property based company without venture capital, which is a very extremely challenging task. And wherever the doors have to be opened, of course, I worked hard. I had a team around, but along with hard work, I seem to be somewhat leading the way. And I used to tell, when we don't have money, we are almost to pay salary and all that. I'll say, how are you doing? No, I am only a COO. There is someone above who is guiding me, who is the chairman and CEO. Just like the chairman instructs the COO, I am only doing whatever comes to me. I'm not saying I have a direct line, but it is as though that is so powerful, this Vedic, whatever I was doing. Then with finally when understanding with Kashyap, that is what I would like to share with you in a sequence that you said we want to proceed in a gradual manner, explain.
Right.
Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. and for asking this question.
Thank you, thank you. I'm very grateful because it's a we have to take advantage of the modern technology. You are a technologist yourself because you have worked with NASA and you have done pioneering work out there. So the question arises is is how do you wish to format that entire process of learning for the people who are watching it for the first time? And I'll tell you something very simple. You have titled the book Vedas for Success very appropriately. The reason is very simple. I have not come across in my life any person in my life of as many years, any person who wants to fail. Everybody wants to succeed in life. I have not come across anyone who wants to fail. They all try hard. They all work hard. Some achieve success, some do not achieve the full potential. But people succeed in their own way. So, here, before we jump into the Vedas as such, there are a couple of things which I am totally aware of that entire Vedas are written in Sanskrit. And we know that Sanskrit knowledge, Sanskrit language, although every Indian knows that the link to every single language is origin in Sanskrit, somewhere along the line it has fallen by the wayside. So, how would people gain? How were you able to summarize the entire Vedic knowledge in 79 pages of this book?
This is primarily due to the great work of Sri Aurobindo and Kapali Shastriyar and Professor Kashyap. And I have started these Vedas, recited the mantras, and did the puja. And I seem to think that there is someone else sort of guiding. Even though I was working hard and I was doing well in school, I did everything quite well and PhD and selected for postdoc fellowship, did research at NASA, everything, all the opportunities I made use of, I did quite well. But I sort of now believe all these successes are due to the Vedic. So the way to say, to simply put it, is that the Veda mantras, without my knowing, is a way to connect with the energies, the cosmic energies available. You can communicate. That is the in simplest form Aurobindo has said. So to answer your question, how are your listeners going to get started? We'll come there. But first, understanding what is in the Vedas, why the Vedic wisdom was not properly taught to us until this time, what were the difficulties, and what is it that we are trying to say. So once we understand that there is a wisdom and there is a method that Vedas suggest how we must do the dharma, all those that are mentioned in the Veda mantras, by understanding the overall message in the Vedas, everyone will be able to get connected with Veda, and we will be able to use the cosmic energies to give them the right direction for the type of things that they want. Because these devas that we worship in our Sanatani Dharma form of worship, they have psychological powers. So they are interested for everyone to do well, to succeed in life. So not only that each individual, as you correctly said, wants success, but the devas, who are nothing but powers of light, the cosmic energy. You see, on the one hand, if you say they are the devas of the Sanatana Dharma, on the other hand, if you want a more scientific explanation or basis, they are the cosmic energies. The fire energy is called Agni, the wind energy is the Vayu, the willpower is Agni, the clarity of mind is Indra, the inspirational psychological power is connected with the Saraswati. All those are devas. By trying to connect with these devas, by simple ways of connecting. There are so many simple ways. Vedas have so many mantras, and there are some of the simple mantras that every family, every grandfather, grandmother has taught us in the early days, but the tradition was lost. We can reconnect by communities that we have built in the Western countries. Every city has some temples. There are priests who are learned in Vedas, who are willing to give the entry to everyone who wants, and just connected with the Veda. But everyone must first understand the wisdom and why and how we can connect with the energy, and how you can make it applicable to revive the dormant energies with which all of us are born.
Brilliant. So let's begin. Let's connect everybody to that cosmic energy that we don't seem to have captured, or let it say we wither away. So, one of the things which is very important you shared with me last time was that most of these, all of it is in Sanskrit language, and mantras have to be chanted. To draw a parallel with the modern way of life, everything is doable, everything is achievable. And I learn a lot of lessons from sports. So if you imbibe the lesson of a sportsman, I remember reading Michael Jordan's book Air, where he was saying that he has practiced free throw shooting thousands of times every day. And he also emphasized that you have to practice right, because if you practice wrong, it doesn't have the same impact. So here is the challenge for Vedic mantras and Vedic knowledge. In the absence of Sanskrit, I read this book twice, let me confess with you. And the second time I learned a little bit more. So how the energy which is around us, how do we nurture it? How do we capture it? How do we translate it in our daily life? How do you begin? Let's talk about that.
If I may start by saying that the Veda mantras are revealed to our rishis many thousands of years ago. And the rishis understood, they considered the devas, the fire power, the fire, Agni, Vayu, all these energies, you can communicate with them through the mantras that were revealed to them. So before we get to that, what we want to say, but after the time, over the period of this transfer of this Veda by generations to that, we lost the basic understanding of the wisdom. So we must get to that wisdom. But before I start introducing them, let us first understand why we lost the connection. How over the years, Vedas talk about yajna. Yajna is translated in so many ways that you do a havan. Adi Samaj said you do fire and you do a havan for Ganesh, or you do a havan for Rudra, or havan for Vishnu, Sudarshan, various, that is being practiced. However, the purpose of the yajna, Bhagavad Gita says, you do the yajna, by that you connect with the devas, and by you do the yajna, you offer what you have in yourself to the deva, and the devas will give what they have in you. Parasparam bhavayandaha sukham param sukham avapnoti. By doing this sacrifice, this is all what is there. But that yajna was given a bad connotation, and so we must, to understand what the Veda says is, we must know, Aurobindo said, Sri Aurobindo said that there are Veda mantras have spiritual meaning and psychological meaning. In other words, there is a fundamental cosmic spirit, universal spirit. And the universal spirit is the overall universal energy, cosmic energy. And there are sub energies like electricity, wind, fire, all these have powers. So these are all just like the universal energy continues the processes in the universe with the benefit of all the other energies. They are given the name of Supreme. We can connect with the Supreme by these mantras. The word mantra has come from manana trayate iti mantraha. That means mantra has a power which allows you to communicate with the energy and the energy to be invited to yourself. So that is the basic statement of Aurobindo. These mantras have power, and this power is to connect with the cosmic energy, and the different mantras to connect with the different energies. And by such connection, that energy places its psychological power in you. So you are born with that energy, but that is dormant in you. So by this way, that energy gets activated, and you are able to see. When you get more energy, you are able to do the task with more clarity and with more completeness and with more correctness, and then you succeed. And the Veda says you rise in consciousness levels. So when you rise even a slight increase in your consciousness level, you are able to see much better. And again, I want to use an analogy of the sports analogy that you said. Those who watch National Football League, they find that the defensive coach sits at an elevated level and he communicates the play to the coach standing on the sideline. By the defensive coach sitting at a higher level, he can see the field much better, which areas are open, which areas are being covered. So he can direct a play to go into the open areas, and the coach communicates that play. In that same manner, that slight higher level, you are able to see things much better. So you rise in consciousness level without your knowing. How did you rise in consciousness level? Because you connected with this cosmic energy, you chanted a mantra in the form of conducting a yajna. The word yajna, whatever meaning has already been told to us, is really, if you have to understand, ya means striving for, ya means for knowledge. So yajna, purpose of doing a yajna, you are striving for knowledge. What type of knowledge? You are inviting the devas there. If you are doing a Ganesh Havan, you are inviting a Brahmanaspati who has certain powers, who by listening to the chanting by the priests, we are able to invite that deva, and that deva has only one purpose. Whosoever the deva is invited, that deva or that energy transfers the psychological power that that energy has onto you. So that energy gets strengthened. So there is a willpower. Agni is the deva associated with willpower, and all our functions, all our yajnas start with Agni, setting up the fire, Vedic fire. And so by starting with yajna and listening to the mantra and gradually starting with one mantra, you invite that energy to yourself. And since everyone requires willpower to succeed, the power for Agni, that is why Max Muller was saying that when the gramophone record was there developed, he went to Max Muller to have something, whether it can be repeated back and all the playback to see that. And Max Muller chanted the first Vedic mantra, Agnimi Ile Purohitam Yajnasya Deva Mritujam Hota Aram Ratnadatamam. So he invited this one mantra will invite Agni, the willpower to you. So the psychological power of willpower will come. And once you have willpower, you succeed, you go after, you develop persistence. So these are all already in you, but they do not get developed unless you connect with the willpower energy that is available in the cosmos. You invite them, and then you are able to develop that hidden dormant power in you and to be able to proceed with that. So you can acquire all these psychological powers you are born with but dormant in you by connecting with these cosmic energies.
Now, that is so important because that's where people talk about the fire within, awakening the fire within, right?
Awakening the
But
fire within, that is the that
yeah,
symbol also. The fire
yeah,
also is not only the fire, it is the willpower also.
willpower also. That's where the important part is because majority of the time, average Joe, if I may use the slang, average Joe becomes very easily trapped into his own comfort zone because doing all this is tough, it's not easy. That's why success also comes to those who toil hard, learn well, are willing to be coached, trained by the teacher, the guru. Now, here is a very important part, that is in the current scenario, as we are in the 21st century. Our Gurukul system was the ideal system for learning all this. But the Gurukul system got destroyed. Where do we have teachers? Where do we have people who can share or initiate the average Joe, you know, to learn that? Because again, teacher's role is very important. Guru's role is very important. We don't have gurus these days to chant that mantra or invoke the value of the mantra, how to awaken the power within, the fire within, because that's not easy.
Yes, yes, that is a very good question. And we must also do, along with the point that you mentioned, Vibhuti Jha, the important point is we must, that is where we can go into this a little bit more detail in our next lecture if we want to, but I will briefly mention the point that the current teaching of this thing, the Veda, after from the days of Adi Shankara, Veda, all the knowledge is in Veda, but the Veda from Adi Shankara days onwards, and as they wanted the performance of the yajna, it is all done with good intention, but the meaning got lost in that one. They said Veda has a karma kanda and the jnana kanda. The Veda mantras and the yajnas are known as the karma kanda, those who want to get material benefits, as though putting down the karma kanda material benefits there, and the jnana kanda, which is for jnana and liberation, self-realization. So they divided this into two, Veda and Vedanta. And then what happened was the Veda and the Karma Kanda was uh, belittled in a way to say that, oh, only illiterates and who wants material pursuit only do these things. The real person look for jnana and liberation, and they started Vedanta, and there will be Vedanta societies and self-realization and all that. So a person who wants to say, they say, oh, Vedas are for priests and illiterate people and yajna, and we don't understand, and all that on one way. But what that is what Sri Aurobindo said. No, 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 no. What Veda says, through these yajnas, through these Veda mantras, we have to, that is the only way to connect with the energy. And it is there. If everybody goes to self-realization and give up all your work, then who will do the work? So Aurobindo said, I want the Veda as the guideline for everybody, not to uh, give up all the thing and then go to self-realization, but to understand and do the work correctly with a perfection and rise by contributing work. So that is why this Aurobindo's teaching is all the more important. So we must understand that the Veda is the basis for Vedanta also. The Veda teaches. So understanding the Veda is the first step, and this mantra. So what is being stated as for material pursuit, you can have material pursuit and spiritual. You can lead your life, you can spiritualize your life and succeed in. That is what Aurobindo was saying. So whatever I was doing without knowing this Aurobindo's teachings that came 100 years ago is the way. So I can now say how to start doing this. You spend, whether you have 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 15 minutes a day, it does not matter. You start the day by taking a few minutes. You call it meditation, you call it a chanting a mantra, you call it a small yajna with a fire. And I will tell you later in our series of lectures what all tasks that we have been suggested by the Vedas that we must do, what they call Nitya Karma. Nitya Karma has two meanings. Nitya means daily karma that we have to do. There is no difference between spiritual karma and professional karma. All these divisions are human made. Therefore, the Veda says, just like you get up in the morning and go to do work, and we mean by work only the professional work, because this is not even considered as this. No, there is the whole universal, how things work in universe with clockwork precision, and it goes, notwithstanding some chaos that we find, there is a regularity of things happening in the universe. You will also be able to do things with a clockwork precision and perfection. But you must include this Nitya Karma includes spiritualize your life or divinize your life and perform your professional work. We are not saying the spiritual work and professional work must be equally good. No, spiritual work can be 5 minutes of meditation, but throughout the day, you can. What is a spiritual life? Spiritual life means recognizing the presence of spirit. We are all spirit. We say, when I say namaste, I am doing namaha to the spirit, the same spirit, the same jiva, atma, the same supreme that is within you, as in me, as in every creature in the universe. Because that is where the understanding of the Veda will complete you. Because there is only in Rigveda Sukta, Purusha Sukta, Purusha Evedagam Sarvam. There is only one spirit. Everything this. It is the spirit that has gone inside every creature in the universe. That is why by recognizing the presence of spirit, and if you do our work, that you can spiritualize or divinize your life. That is the fundamental message of the Veda. You spiritualize your life and do your professions. Recognize the presence of spirit within you. How do we do that? By the yajna and the Veda mantras, listening to the Veda mantras and learning one Veda mantra at a time. Just one Veda mantra. It does not even take 30 seconds to chant it. And you spend 1 minute in meditation. Invite that willpower energy, invite that inspiration energy, invite various energies are available and various mantras are there. Whichever energies that you are lacking, you all are born with that one, but they are hidden, dormant. Activate that energy by spiritualizing your life. These are the simple ways Aurobindo suggests. That is why he says the Veda mantras have spiritual and psychological power. So we must understand what these powers are, how these are, and how we can connect with these energies and develop the dormant energies which each of us. That helps you in slight rise in consciousness level will allow you to do the things much better. So you complete the task with more clarity and more understanding. So you see, many times we go headlong into doing the work, but we don't fully understand what is involved in the problem. Just like that, a defensive coach sits at slight level. So we want to get to slight increase in our consciousness so we can see the problem that we are confronting at a slightly higher level. And that happens when we spiritualize our life. We connect with the various devas. All these are described in this book, Vedas for
Yes,
Success, in a
yes,
nutshell. And once we connect with these energies, we rise in consciousness level, and we can, there are, it says, Veda says, there are 7 levels of consciousness. You can go from the earth level to the antariksha, the intermediate level, then to the third level, fourth level, fifth, sixth, and seventh. So there are, we will discuss all that in detail
yes,
more. But
yes.
in a nutshell, what we are saying is a slight, a delta X increase in consciousness level allows us to see whatever task we are confronted with in a more clear manner. So we find a solution quickly, and it is all the same person. There is no change. The person is able to raise his level, consciousness level. And this happens when we connect with the energy. These were happening to me from the age of 11 without my knowing, by the chanting of the mantra.
Wow. See, this is so important because in ordinary course of life, the entire meaning of the word success in the 21st century material world, pushed by the Western agenda, education agenda, everything is the bigger car, the bigger house, the bigger pool, more expensive the clothes. So every success has been related to material success, unfortunately. But if you look at the US Constitution, as I was listening to you, I had that awakening that life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, which is what the US Constitution talks about in its opening preamble, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, that's Vedic philosophy.
Yeah,
Think about it from that point of view. It is Vedic philosophy imported by somebody else. Like you said, Max Muller chanted the Vedic mantra because they knew about it. Now, this is truly remarkable, and I want to implore upon people that we are going to do this continued conversation for a little while. It will all depend whether you are interested in knowing or not knowing. It will all depend upon you whether you want to raise your consciousness level, achieve what I always say, an elevated equilibrium within yourself. Because only when you achieve elevated equilibrium and have your eyes wide open and see things differently, you can't attend to the problems in the same way. So, I want to tell you very clearly, it's not possible to read the 50,000 pages, 5,000 years of Sanskrit mantra. But if you want to get initiated, if you want to understand the meaning of the energy, how to do it, like Professor Saab said, Dr. Narayanswami said just now, is all about understanding a beginning of one mantra. And I want all of you, look up the book. I'm not in the business of promoting this book, but I want to very deeply involved in it, that our Vedic knowledge must promote us, must inspire us for greater action. That is critical, because knowledge by itself is wonderful, but knowledge not implemented means nothing. And that's where it is critical for us, all of us Sanatanis, to recognize this. So now I want to come to you one more thing here. You know, that defining success itself, say for example, we are all caught up into the rut of 21st century material war. You know, the Alice in Wonderland scenario, that you have to keep running at the same place to stay in the same place, right? So people are running every day to remain in the same place, the indentured servitude. I have a job, I have to pay my bills, I have to pay my mortgage, I have to take care of my children's education. So we get caught up into the rut. And what you said something was very, very important, that you have to achieve material success. You have to do your job well, and you will do your job well if you are able to imbibe the energy. So, for the purpose of knowing, for these people who are watching, define the Vedic principle, how Veda describes success itself.
That is a very excellent question. In fact, Sri Aurobindo, again, we must. Aurobindo is a modern rishi. He has contributed so much to integral yoga, and he's a visionary. He did not learn all these things. He first had the direct vision and explained all this. Just like our rishi said, the revelation of mantras. He's a modern rishi. What Aurobindo says is, he has examined 4,000 years of the ingredients for success. And he says freedom, equality, the self ability to, he says 4 or 5 characters, all of them are explained in the Veda. And all of us would have heard the word dharma and Sanatana dharma. And even to define, of course, the 2 words that has got accepted into the English language, dharma, but they are not able to define exactly dharma, because dharma is one of those non-translatable Sanskrit words. So there is no exact equivalent in English. So they use various words. But what Veda says is, dharma is follow the cosmic laws, lead a life. So Sanatan Dharma life, especially as Vibhuti Ji that you mentioned earlier, in today's conflict, when everyone wants to talk negatively about Hindus and our Vedic Dharma and all that, it is so surprising, because that is the only path that keeps persons even keel and will contribute towards the welfare of every humanity in the world. The Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam and all those aspects that are more relevant today. So understanding this, the Vedic success comes from, they want to do creative work. It is not just doing paper pushing, whatever it is. They want you to contribute creatively. Each of us, they say, each of us are come to this to do a specific task for us. For example, Vibhuti Jha, you are, whatever profession that you did and all that, now you are dedicated your full life to spread ideas of interest to a broader group of people. That is your mission that you have taken by these dialogues, by introducing this. In the same manner, each of us have a task. And I was fortunate to learn the Vedas, and not only at that, chanting the mantras, but what goes, why I was able to succeed, where the success came, and how I led my life, what the Veda says and what Aurobindo says. So he says freedom, equality, creativity. So we must be able to do creative work. So how do we do creative work? By rising in consciousness, by divinizing, spiritualizing your life. There are so much energy available. Look at the wild animals. How do they survive? They receive the energy that is available in nature. How does the plant grow? They take whatever coming from the sunlight. We call it sunlight, we call it this. Everything has a unique psychological power. So to be successful, Veda says you must connect with the free energy that is available to you, which helps you to activate the dormant characteristics in you and allows you to rise in consciousness level, lead a life of dharma, and perform your tasks with higher levels of perfection, because you rise in consciousness, you see the task well. So Vedic definition of success, and they concentrate on help you to do creative work. And what is the result of producing a creative work? Immediate success. That is a unique way of you see, whether we do house cleaning, a janitor's role, whether you do a doctor's role, whether you do a mechanic's role, if the janitor or doctor or mechanic is not doing the task with a higher level of satisfaction, we are not going to do to them, we are not going to invite them back. Unless the just because he has a doctor board in the outside his house, we may not go unless he is doing the task with the creativity and answers and give solutions to your in the same manner. You do not take your car to a mechanic who does not do it well. So that
Right.
creative nature of work, whether they are doing the Veda mantra or they, due to whatever karmas they are doing, they already have a way of attracting that energy that they have already known. So they do work with a perfection, higher levels of perfection. We go to that, oh, that mechanics is better than this guy. How? They both are doing the same work, but he is doing it with a little bit more creativity, a little more understanding of that. So Veda says, do creative work. How do we do that? By connecting. So the Vedas way of success is you spiritualize or divinize and develop this level of creativity and rising in conscious level. All other things, doing work perfectly with perfection, the success resulting from that, all will happen by this Veda. So they go to the root to get the success.
Very, very well said. Because, as the saying goes, there are cooks and chefs. Not everybody's food tastes equally the same. It's what I always say. Those who add the ingredient called love, their food tastes better. It's a very interesting part to explain that. And I totally agree with you that we all do our job and then somebody does it better. That's why they have higher success rate. Those who do it well, with the elevated equilibrium they have, they see more, they observe more, and they do it better. That's what is all about. So
And that,
yeah.
you put it there, that is use the word in Veda, spiritualize your life or divinize your life. Divinize means div, deva. Deva means shine. Div, Sanskrit word is shine. So devas are powers of light. Recently there is this this Rahul Gandhi, Prime Minister Modi, this argument. Rahul Gandhi seems to have said that devas are not, or devatas are not, something like that. I said he's insulting our this thing. What div powers of light? They are, even God is a not a total translation of they are powers of light and truth. There is nothing greater than our devas. So that's what
That's right. Thank you.
Modi ji was trying to point out. So the div, so divinize is does not mean that you have to 24/7 do this. No, recognize the power of spirit and try to connect with that spirit. And there are ways of connecting with that spirit.
Right.
That is what this Veda teaches, and that is what we have to go in a gradual manner to think. So, if Vibhuti ji, if you invite your readers, the listeners, to ask any questions, we can try to respond that in the next lecture.
Oh
Stick
yes,
with that
oh
one.
yes. I was going to say that to people, that those who are watching, please ask your questions. Please ask your questions in the show, and we will address them as and when required. Because questions always provide answers. They are very useful tool of learning. Making inquiry is the best way to learn, because that's where you answer. You have the doubt, it gets clarified. Final thing that I wanted to say, that to the viewers, that you know Dr. Narayanswamy said that those tools, those mantras that will invoke higher energy or understanding of energy, that's what we are going to talk about next when we meet again. In the meanwhile, while I was having this conversation, I wanted to leave a thought in your mind. Remember, mantras in our way of life are very, very important. Chanting of mantra, that has to be rhythmic. Mantras have a particular charm and rhythm to it. Not all mantras are chanted equally the same way. There is a different meaning to mantra. Likewise, you learn from your gurus. Gurus are the ones who imbibe that teaching and learning, and the pandit that performs the ritual. Here is the question to all of us who are watching today. Have you ever noticed, or if you have not, please notice how the Western media plays upon these three words, guru, mantra, and pandit, in a very subtle, negative way in the media. It is to undermine our teachings. When the CNN, Fox, or MSNBC, they say, oh, gurus of this, they're chanting their mantras and all that. I have often said this. Why do you use our important words of our life that matter so much to us in a manner that you are describing? Why don't you replace mantra with gospel? They won't do that. Why do you not replace guru with your own saints and apostles? They will not do that, because they are undermining us. It's time for us to arise, awaken, assert, and act. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are watching today, I hope you will come back again. We were going to do this weekly. So next week, Dr. Narayan Swami will share some other part of the thing, that how you can connect with the energy. Because we all have our hidden talent, God-given talent. The dormant energy needs to be awakened and arisen. Thank you very much, Dr. Narayan Swami, for being on the show, for a fabulous introduction and sharing of thought. And I believe the viewers must have benefited a lot. And I hope we will have greater success doing this as we go forward. I would urge everybody, I'm not doing the book promo. I'm doing this for the learning and understanding success as it matters to us, as it must matter to us. Get this book. It's a 79-page book. Don't try to finish it all in one sitting. Read slowly. As the saying goes, you learn something, you do it slowly, and then we will achieve our success. Thank you, Professor Dr. Saab, for being with us.
I just have to say, so beautifully, Vibhuti ji put it. Why not they replace the guru and mantra with the gospel and pastor? That
Right.
they will not do. That is a very vital point for
Thank you.
all listeners to listen and understand. Let them do what they want, but we know this is the wisdom tradition. That is that. In fact, the longest tradition is Sanathan Dharma way of life, as Vibhuti Ji pointed out. So it is necessary that we, especially the modern generation who are settled in the West, they must try to understand this. They must take advantage of our traditions and this. I 100% support Vibhuti Ji's suggestions, and I'm so happy to be participating in this conversation, and we'll continue this weekly as Vibhuti Ji has suggested.
Thank you. Thank you. Please
Thank
like,
you.
subscribe, and support our channel. And we will get back to you next week again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.